I'm back with another book review. I thought it was appropriate for Black History Month to get into this book and this book that I just finished, both for Black History Month. I think I'm going to do a spoiler filled review. So if you haven't read 107 Days by Kamala Harris, I mean, there's not much spoiler we can do because we know what happened at the end of the 107 days. That's not a secret or a mystery. But I will be spoiling this book because there's no way I can talk about it. I'll try not to give away too many details, but I think it's going to be some spoilers in that. Let's start with 107 Days by Kamala Harris. On a scale of 1 to 5, I would give this book probably a 4. And I say that because one of the things that so many people had mentioned about Kamala Harris is not being clear on who she is or what she represents. Even though she's written books before, this book is from a different perspective because it's her as she is the sitting vice president of the United States. The first female vice president, the first black woman, the first Asian woman vice president of the United States. And I thought it was so interesting. I am, a fan of hers. I support her. And I learned so much about what she was going through. And it's so familiar to black women trying to toe that line between I need to be professional, but at the same time, I need to grow and do what's best for me to advance. And there were several instances throughout the book where she called her own self out and said, I don't know why I did that. Like the moment where they asked her, if you were president right now, what would you do differently than Joe Biden? And she said she couldn't think of a single thing. Her mind went blank. And honestly, I feel her on that. Sorry, that was my oven. I feel her on that. But I do feel like I think she was prepared. I think she decided not to give the answer that she had prepared. There's no way you're going to tell me you're running a political campaign and that scenario as a possible question has never come up and your team hasn't pulled together a bare minimum decent answer for that. I think there were several factors involved with her not answering that question in an appropriate way, one of which being Dr. Biden, pulling Doug aside, asking, are you all loyal to us? Are you all talking behind our backs? We just want to make sure that you're on our side. This is when Joe was still in the race. And I am thinking that Vice President Harris probably did not want to appear disloyal in that moment because it was very shaky ground that Joe Biden was on from the beginning when he announced his intent to run again. Very shaky ground. So kind of anything she would have said to be like, I'm going to do this differently, it probably would have been seen as a slight. It's very clear that Joe Biden's team did not like Kamala. And that might have fed into how he feels. But I think Joe Biden was able to see through the chatter because there were several moments where she mentioned he reached out to her directly and they had a great conversation. There were also some moments where he reached out to her and it was not so good of a conversation. I appreciated her talking more about her relationship with Doug and how he was like a grounding force and how the election process was taking a toll on him. Just the thought of everything she was doing in that 107 days, I cannot imagine. I'm struggling with a 40-hour work week. Okay, that sometimes extends beyond 40 hours. Sometimes. Rarely. It's too much. So I don't know how she was traveling, traipsing across the country multiple times. And I'm here in Atlanta. I think she came to Atlanta twice in one day at some point during her campaign. I'm going to have to fact check that. But it was crazy. Her schedule, once Joe turned the keys over to her. And that was one of the really nice conversations that she had with Joe when he turned the keys over to her. And they didn't get everything right. Joe didn't do everything right. Remember when he put on the MAGA hat when they were out campaigning? She didn't do everything right, you know. Again, like when they asked her about what would you do differently from Joe Biden. And I was glad that she cleared up the Joe Rogan interview thing, because Joe Rogan tried to make it seem like, oh, she's ducking the smoke. Kamala is like, no, we tried to schedule that with you. His scheduling conflicts were not meeting up with hers. First of all, these people need to understand, you're talking to the Vice President of the United States. Yes, she was currently campaigning for to be President of the United States, but you are talking to the Vice President of the United States. You don't demand that she bends to your schedule. And so I was glad she stood her ground. Nobody has time for games. She had other supporters and places to go to talk to the people. And at the end of the day, if coming on his show was going to change Joe Rogan's mind, let's be real, it wasn't going to change his mind. So I appreciated the book. I made some little notes in here, just things that I liked. And let's see. Oh, when one of her friends or supporters reached out to her and said, God gave you a beautiful 107 days to reclaim who you are. You have been able to push back against the caricatures, all the vile and ugly things, and be yourself. You gave America your heart and soul. You gave it your all. And to that quote, Kamala says, I did, and I'm not done. That was so powerful to me. And again, just resonated with me as a black woman voter who time and time again, we give this country our absolute best. And even when the country doesn't show up for us, we continue to show up. So I really like this book. And I think for people who want to understand a little bit more about former Vice President Kamala Harris, check it out, 107 Days. Yeah, beautiful pictures on the back. And then there's some beautiful pictures inside of the book also. So I don't know what the Kindle version looks like. So if somebody has the Kindle version, let me know. Or the ebook, let me know if they also put the pictures inside. Because I always wondered that when I purchased physical copies. Okay. S.A. Cosby, King of Ashes. This is his second book that I've read. The first one I read that I loved, All the Sinners Bleed. This is a totally different lane from All the Sinners Bleed. I figured it would be a thriller, and it kind of was a thriller, but more of a crime thriller, crime drama. And I think it's actually described in the book as a, what does it say? Gangster fiction. Yes. This book, I will have to give this a 3.5 out of 5. And the only reason I'm giving it a 3.5 instead of just a 3 is because the writing, I love his writing. The way he weaves stories together. I mean, he's writing from the perspective of multiple characters. This book is about 3 siblings, Roman, Nevaeh, and Dante, whose family owns a crematory. I believe they're in the South. They're in the South, but I can't recall off the top of my head what state they are in. Virginia. Jefferson Run, Virginia. And the way he just writes from all three perspectives, you know, he's a master at that. This book, I didn't really like the plot. Didn't really like the plot. I think if the plot, so there's two plots going on here. So Roman comes home because their dad has been in an accident with a train. Train hit his dad's car, his dad's in a coma. Nevaeh, you find out she's been the one that's helping the dad with the crematory day in and day out. Dante, their younger brother, he's basically a screw up. Drug addict, alcoholic, who somehow has found himself trying to get into the drug dealing business. Borrowed, I think, $400,000 worth of drugs from the local gang. Tried to sell it. His friend who went into business with him tricked him and said he got robbed, which, be for reals. Like, Dante is not only a screw up, he's so naive and gullible. So naive and gullible. He was well intentioned. His intent was sell the drugs so he can have money so his family wouldn't have to take care of him. Sweetie, you could just go get a regular job. I wish people would understand that. It is okay to have a regular job. A 9-to-5 still works. An overnight shift still works. You know, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. A part-time gig. You don't have to borrow $400,000 worth of drugs. Are you kidding me? And you've never sold drugs before in your life. So anyway, he ends up losing half the drugs because his friend lied and said he got jumped and robbed. And then he smoked the rest of it up. Or snorted it or injected it. Because I think it was also like he was injecting heroin as well. So the local gang, obviously, they've put a hit out on Dante. Roman decides he's going to get involved after the local gang throws what I call a Molotov cocktail into Dante's car. That would have been my cue to leave town. I'm leaving. Or at bare minimum, I'm staying in a hotel. Okay? No, Roman decides he's going to get involved and help his little brother get out of this situation because he's good with money. He lives in Atlanta. He's like a money manager for celebrities and rappers and athletes or what have you. The first meeting with the drug dealers, the gang members, Roman, he goes by Rome, he gets his teeth knocked out. Literal teeth knocked out. And Dante gets his finger cut off. This is what we're dealing with. And somehow Rome decided, I'm still going to try to make this work. I can make you some money. Because the gang wants their money back. And they want it back now. He's like, I can take some money out my savings account. He took, I think, $200,000 out of his account or something like that. Gave them, it was supposed to be giving them like $50,000 a month. Long story short, he ends up finding out that there's another way they can make some more money by getting involved with these government contracts because they're trying to gentrify the city, the area. And he convinces the gang to get involved with that by buying up real estate, buying up demolition construction companies, helping the gang generate large sums of money. Okay, that's one plot. So basically, Roman and Dante are tied up in the gang. By the way, the gang has also requested that they use the crematory for any bodies that they need put away. So you're doing multiple crimes for your little brother. And I'm not understanding how the brother is helping. Because Dante was not doing any helping at all in this book. Here's the other plot that I was far more interested in. Their mother went missing when they were, I'm going to say almost 20 years ago. when Rome was like 16. I think Nevaeh was younger. I think Nevaeh is the middle child. I think. Can't recall. And Dante was much younger as well. Their mother went missing. Their mother, the town knows, was cheating on their father. Everybody knows their father found out. And Nevaeh, it never set right with any of them. It never set right. And Nevaeh is going through great lengths to try to find out, did my father kill our mother? Like, what happened to our mother? I'm not sure what caused her to start thinking about that, but I think seeing the father laid up in the hospital, incapacitated, it's just like, should I care this much about this man if he potentially killed my mother and kept my mother from me, and is the reason why I'm stuck here working in a crematory and my life never amounted to anything, even though, and I wouldn't say her life didn't amount to anything. That's her characterization of it. Like, she didn't feel free. She didn't feel like she was living a fulfilling life. And Rome got the chance to leave and go to UGA, University of Georgia, get a college degree. She didn't get that opportunity because she had to help their father with the crematory. So she goes on this journey throughout the book to try to find out what happened to their mother. She's like interviewing people. She's getting in touch with the police, looking at cold case files, trying to really find out, piece the puzzle together. I was far more interested in that plot line. And they ended up crashing into each other, so I won't tell you what happens with the mom. But I saw it coming. I saw it coming a mile away. There was no justice in this book. There was no resolution in this book. Maybe a little bit of justice, because I feel like Roman is not a good person. I know he's the protagonist in the book, but he is a very complex, dark character. I would say out of all three of the siblings, by the end of the book, I liked him the least. He's not a good person. He's one of those people that pretend to be of upstanding character, and then you find out the true motives and what they're about. That's Roman. Nevaeh, probably my favorite of the three, even though, again, all three not likable characters. Not likable. Very, like, hard to really feel sorry for any of them. I feel sorry for Nevaeh, again, the most, because she was stuck behind dealing with their father, helping him with everything. While Dante's just doing nothing, and Rome is off in Atlanta living his best life. So I'm glad I read it. It was great writing. The writing was like great. Not that big of a fan of the story. The ending, I'm not surprised, but I didn't really like it. It's just, I didn't feel like there was a resolution. Really. Not a true resolution. And there was no true justice. But it was just dark and gritty. And I guess it's an accurate reflection of what happens in the streets. So that's it. Those are my two books that I'm talking about for Black History Month. Tell me what y'all think about them in the comments. And until next time, peace. I didn't feel like there was a resolution. Really. Not a true resolution. And there was no true justice. But it was just dark and gritty. And I guess it's an accurate reflection of what happens in the streets. So that's it. Those are my two books that I'm talking about for Black History Month. Tell me what y'all think about them in the comments. And until next time, peace.